How do you remember the major events of your life? Are you a picture taker? Is your house full of pictures on the wall and photo albums of the major things that you or your family have done? One of the interesting things about the internet and social media is that Facebook will actually automatically put together what they call memories. And so you can go on Facebook and click on memories, and it'll show you all the different things that you have posted on Facebook over the years. So how do you remember the major events of your life? We're living through a major event right now, and many of us are probably thinking, I don't want to memorialize it, I don't want to remember it, I just want to get through it to the other side and move on. But how will you mark this time? Maybe we'll get to the other side of this time and you'll have just this intense feeling that God got you through, God sustained you, and so how will you remember that? How will you mark that in your life? The people of Israel in the Old Testament were asked to memorialize a lot of different things. When God would miraculously provide for them or get them through a situation, they were asked to put up some type of memorial so that people would remember. And one of those times that we read about is in the book of Joshua, when the people of Israel were crossing the Jordan River into the Promised Land. They had wandered in the wilderness. They had gone through this cycle of being disobedient to God and then following Him again, and they're finally able to begin entering the Promised Land, but they have to cross the Jordan River. And at the time of year that they're crossing the Jordan River, it's at flood stage, and so this is a perilous crossing. But God instructs the people to send the Ark of the Covenant, representing God's presence, ahead of them, and asks the priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant to wade into the river. And what God does when they do so is He causes the waters of the Jordan River on the upstream end to pile up in a heap, and then as the waters flowed downstream, they went away, and the priests were standing on the dry ground, and the rest of the people of Israel could then cross. And so just a miraculous way that God provided for the people and made them all able to cross the river. And so God asked the people, or commands the people rather, to collect rocks from the river and to pile them up as a memorial of what God did for them there. And this is what Joshua tells the people in Joshua chapter 4, verses 20 through 24, after receiving this instruction. This is what Joshua says. It says, Then Joshua set up in Gilgal the 12 stones they had taken from the Jordan, and he said to the Israelites, In the future, when your children ask their fathers, What is the meaning of these stones? You should tell your children, Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the water of the Jordan before you until you had crossed over, just as the Lord your God did to the Red Sea, which He dried up before us until we had crossed over. This is so that all the people of the earth may know that the Lord's hand is mighty, and that you may always fear the Lord your God. One of the reasons we memorialize things that God has done for us, one of the reasons we remember God's mighty acts and how He's provided for us, is so that other people may know how good God is and how mighty He is. Maybe you literally set up some stones, maybe in your yard or maybe in a flower garden, and a year from now you have a friend over at your house and they ask you, what's with the pile of rocks, in your yard or in your garden, and you can explain to them, well, that's to help me remember that this time last year was a tough time, but God sustained me and He saw me through. Maybe you don't literally set up rocks, but maybe you're a year, 2 years from now, you're at work in the office and some people are remembering this time and talking about what a crazy time it was and how much struggle and fear and anxiety there was. And you can speak up and say, yeah, it was a difficult time, but God sustained me and God got me through. Many of us may face hard times ahead. We may still face fear and anxiety in the days ahead. But perhaps for us, the thing that we memorialize, the thing that we remember, is that even though it was a difficult time, even though we struggled perhaps even, God sustained us and God saw us through. Focus on the goodness of God. Even though times are uncertain, even though it's a difficult time, focus on His goodness. Think about how, after all of this, you can remember how good God has been to us and how He sustains us.